Good, happy Sunday morning, everyone. I'm Riley King, and welcome to this week's edition of Politics with Riley King. We have a lot of political news to get to today, so let's begin. First up, let's take a look at your 2020 New Hampshire candidate tracker for October 2019. We have one candidate in New Hampshire today, Joe Seasteck. He is in New Hampshire today, and he has two events today in New Hampshire. His first event, LGBTQ event in Portsmouth, New Hampshire at 5 o'clock p.m. And his second event, National Security Policy and Climate Change event in Portsmouth, New Hampshire at 6 o'clock p.m. Those are the two events that Joe Seasteck has today in New Hampshire. Commission takes a look at possible changes to bail reform law. Critics say law allows dangerous offenders to be released. After complaints from some police departments about dangerous and repeat offenders being released on bail, New Hampshire lawmakers are going back to work again on the state's bail reform law. Unlike a year ago, when bail reform was a consensus issue, there are now deep political divisions. When the first bail reform commission met last year after the controversial law passed, police said it felt like no one wanted to listen to their concerns about dangerous and repeat offenders being released. With a second commission now getting underway to address some of the problems, law enforcement predicted police officers said they're hopeful for some kind of change. That was very interesting that those that have been speaking out saying there's nothing wrong with bail reform are now the same exact people sitting in here now saying, you know what, something does need to change with bail reform, said Manchester Police Chief Carl Capano. Buzz Shear of the University of New Hampshire School of Law wrote the bail reform bill and blasted police criticism of the law. He said he's now open to compromise. I think there are tweaks to be made on the status as it's written in terms of dangerous, in terms of failure to appear, Shear said. If it turns out to be significant problems, that will help manage those significant problems. Officials said data is needed to determine the exact of problems, but court systems is unable to provide a comprehensive look at how a new law is actually working or not working statewide. Some still question whether bail reform is even an issue. Are the problems that we're seeing problems that are result from bail reform, or would they be the same issues we would have seen had there done nothing, said Circuit Judge David King. The politics of bail reform are evolving rapidly. Governor Chris Sununu, a former supporter, slammed the law earlier this week on WMUR's Close Up. It has failed, Sununu said. It hasn't not worked. massively overhauled, and any argument otherwise is just trying to be political. Senate Democrats who championed bail reform contend more training is needed for police and courts, but they expect to file legislation to make more changes. Everybody needs to understand the process, and that has not happened yet. But we're getting there, said State Senate Malin Lovsky, Democrat of Nashua. G7 summit won't be at Trump Miami resort. 2 days after the White House said that President Donald Trump had directed next year's Group of 7 summit to be held at Trump Miami resort, the president tweeted late Saturday that no, actually it will not. While Trump blamed the media and Democrats for having to make the switch, he had come under blistering criticism from across the political spectrum, including fellow Republicans, for pushing for government money to be spent at a resort owned by his own company, a violation, critics said, of legal restrictions against the president benefiting financially from the office. And that does it for this Sunday's edition of Politics with Riley King. I hope you all enjoyed this Sunday edition of Politics with Riley King. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and I'll see you back here next Sunday for another edition of Politics with Riley King. And have a great week ahead of you, everybody. Goodbye.